Hey everyone, and welcome to... I don't even know what we call this. This is our movie results show. Movie results, that doesn't even make sense. I'm Peter, and I'm here as I always am. Like, literally, I'm on everything, basically, on this channel. And I am joined this evening by Tara.
Hello, everyone.
You were going to say your ace catchphrase, weren't you? You realised this isn't the ace.
I
can
was
see it.
not.
You were so going to do it. So going to do it.
I changed both words quite significantly, I thought. Instead of greetings, I said hello. Instead of citizens, I said everyone. Very different, as you can see.
You changed two whole words. Oh my god, someone get the woman a badge. Get her the big girl pants, because she has achieved the impossible.
I was pretty proud, but I wasn't trying to be showy.
You're a poet. You're a poet and you know it. This is our special show, this one-off, or possibly two parts, it depends how long this takes. Basically, about a month ago, a lot of you guys, a lot of our audience, sent in their top 50 movies of all time, ranked and numbered, and each movie got points based on where those movies ranked on the lists. And because of that, we have results. We have built a top movies list based on the entries that were sent in. This is so in the past I've done a top 100. We've done top 50s and whatnot on Screams, on 121, and we've all been doing it on the Ace at some point as well. So this is very much a thing we do from time to time where we make our own lists. But this is not our list. This is your list. This is the voted for list by everyone who took the time to send one in. So, basically the way this is going to work, I think I originally said it's going to be a top 100. And technically you will get the full top 100. However, obviously there's such a wide breadth of movies that were submitted. In fact, I believe the total was over 600 in terms of how many films received points by the time it was all said and done. I know.
I should say that you put all this list together. Mm-hmm. I have no idea what's on it. I haven't seen anything.
Well, that's why you're here. I was originally going to do this on my own, and I said, that's silly. Someone should be here to react and be surprised and be, just comment on things without knowing what's coming. So basically, the way this is going to work is that it's going to be, at the top 50 movies of all time as voted for by you guys. And however, so we're going to go through the 50, we'll comment on each one and sort of, is this surprising? Is this too high? Is this too low? Are we shocked that this is here? Are we like, what? But when we get to number one, when we've done number two, and then it's like, okay, it's time to do number one. What I usually do at that point in these countdown videos is I'll recap the list so far. I'll say them all in quick succession. When we get to that point, I'm actually going to go all the way back to number 100. So you're going to get the reveal of 100 through 51 towards the end, and it's sort of rapid fire round, as I said, kind of. And what we're going to do for that actually is that Tara's going to basically react to each one in one word or phrase. It should be fun. I'm expecting shenanigans. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to start with number 50. We're going to comment on each one as we go, and then
I guess before we start what number one is?
Only before we start. You're not letting me guess you, Stu, because it'll get more obvious possibly as we get closer.
Okay. No, I just want to make a guess because I think I know the people who watch your show.
All right, okay. So if you were to guess right now, before you know any of the entries, what's your guess?
The Dark Knight.
Interesting.
All right, number 50.
Number 50, all right. Well, I'm going to get fancy here for a second, and not that this really matters to you at home, but because I could easily do this in post, but in real time, I am going to switch, but with a nice fancy fade to this screen. And that is where we're going to have the poster on the side. It's going to be fun. We've never had this layout before. If you listen to the audio version, you don't care about any of this because it's just audio. But
it's fancy, audio listeners. Check it out.
It's fancy. It's fancier than normal. So here we are. We're gonna get started. So, although I should say to Tara, the posters are going to go in post production. You're not going to see any of them while we're recording, just in case you're like, "Where's the poster? I don't see anything." Where's
another blue movie? Okay.
I don't know if you meant to do that on purpose.
You could edit that out.
For the audio people, the background is blue, so that was actually quite a witty joke. It wasn't just a silly, random porn joke.
I did not mean it as a porn joke, no.
No.
But now that I realize what I've said, yeah, I guess it does kind of sound like that. Whoops.
Yeah, oh, how could a blue movie sound like I'm making a porridge? How could it possibly be inferred that way?
Hey, I don't know what everyone submitted. Maybe it is just like top 50 porno films.
Number 50, Debbie Does Dallas. Number 49. Yeah, number 48, Backdoor Anal Slut 6, which is good because 7's where the series jumped the shark.
Backdoor and Anal Sluts is kind of redundant, I always thought.
Number 47, A Wet Dream on Elm Street. Number 46, Armageddon On. Number 45, 10-inch Mutant Ninja Turtles.
All right, let's get going.
Number 50 on the top fit movies that was voted for by you guys. Number 50 is Casablanca.
Hey, we got some classy viewers.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing though. Do you think this is too high or too low, or do you think it's just right?
I love this movie, but I don't know. I think maybe too low, but it could just be because I just put it up there higher because it's a classic.
Admittedly, you don't know what's higher than this, admittedly, so you don't really know what's beating it yet, but like I don't know, I feel like that's maybe one of the things that sort of like might stick out to a couple of these is like, whoa, that's actually kind of low for that movie, or that's kind of high for that movie.
I think it's kind of high for our audience.
Whoa.
who I think is gonna put like Endgame and Dark Knight and
I
stuff
think
like that in the top 10.
I think given the fact that you started off this entry with, oh, we've got a classy audience because of Casablanca, and then you ended with, I think it's kind of high for our audience.
I mean, I do. I think I wasn't expecting Casablanca to make the top 50.
I think there's a couple of surprises in here based on our audience, and I've discovered that I like our audience more than I thought I did.
Oh, nice.
So
I'm sorry I thought so low of you guys.
You'll know what entries inspired that comment when we get them. So number 50 is Casablanca. Number 49 is Toy Story.
Okay.
You're here to react, Tara.
I like Toy Story.
So typically I'm going to wait for you to respond every time I say the movie.
I mean, Toy Story's great. Yeah. I don't think Toy Story is the best of the Toy Story franchise, but it's a great film.
Who's to say there's not another one higher up on this list? It probably is my favorite of this franchise. I think 3 arguably is better, but I think 1...
Yeah, 3 is pretty great. I actually really like 2 also.
Oh, 2 is great too. I've not seen 4 yet. I have no comment on 4, but
4 is pretty good.
But like, some people think 2 is the best one, and I actually think it's the weakest one. But I still think it's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not dissing 2. It's just I think 1 has the charm of being the first one, and then 3 has the we might kill them all scene.
I know, right?
Which like I remember
they all start holding hands and they're about to be incinerated. I was just like, oh my god, they can't get out of this.
I remember sitting in a theater for that. We'll keep this fairly spoiler light, but obviously we're going to talk about some scenes here or there, right? I don't think we've said too much, but like I remember sitting in the theater for that scene, and they all start holding hands, and I'm like, they can't. It's a Toy Story movie. But they just made me doubt it enough.
I like that too.
They made me doubt it just enough.
Emotional.
I'm like, But no, Toy Story's a classic.
Yeah, Toy Story's great. I think it deserves to be in the top 50, and good on our fans.
You can fly if you want to.
Excuse me.
I believe I can fly. I can soar as the sky. I can't remember the lyrics, but it's a song that sings when Buzz is like, when he's doubting himself and he's trying to fly down the stairs and he falls, and it's just a really sad song. But it's really hopeful at first. The music's really good.
Well, it's a Randy Newman song. I don't think it's I Believe I Can Fly.
No, he says that at one point, I'm sure. I'm sure that's one of the lyrics. It's not. No, I know I Believe You Can. I was a Space Jam fan as a kid, okay? I know I Believe You Can Fly. Although it feels weird singing it now because R. Kelly's...
Oh my god, Space Jam better not be on this list.
I had a friend in school who, like, this is high school, who didn't see a lot of movies growing up because his parents were like, you know, those parents, like, you're not watching movies.
TV is the devil.
Yeah, but he was sort of like, I was sort of introducing him to movies and stuff, but he had seen Ghostbusters, and we got into an argument because he argued with me tooth and nail that Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray were the opposite people. And the reason why he thought that, I'm pretty sure, is because there's a joke in Space Jam when Bill Murray shows up on the court to like be one of the players. The evil alien dude who like controls the basketball team is like, "What's Dan Aykroyd doing here?" And it's a joke, but because of that line, he was convinced that was Dan Aykroyd. And he fought me tooth and nail, and I had to like get the internet out to prove him wrong. It was the weirdest argument I've ever been in. I'm like, no, that's Bill Murray. You fool.
This video is going to take forever.
Number 48. The original, of course, Old Boy.
Oh, I haven't seen it. I've heard great things.
Oh, that's fine. If you haven't seen it, that's fair. But it's got a reputation. I'm sure you're aware. Like I'm sure
Is
even
it Japanese?
Korean. I'm sure you are familiar at least with the concept of the hallway fight.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
With the hammer and just the one shot going back and forth. Beautiful stuff. Now, Old Boy is a fantastic movie. It was on my top 100. It is a fantastic revenge film, and it is got wonderful music. It is full of... I mean, it's weird. I'm almost getting into just what I said in my top 100 video because I'm justifying it, but... do you know what I like about this, though?
I don't have much to say.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. But do you know what I like about this? I like that it shows that, hey, we may have some foreign movies on this list. Again, our audience is classy.
Nice.
They're classier than I gave them credit for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, audience. I'm sorry
so
for
are
doubting
Ace
you.
viewers.
Our Ace viewers are
It's
classy.
true. I mean, that's why the final countdown is one of our top watched episodes for some reason.
Yeah, well, to be fair though, like the extra people who watched that didn't stick around, so I think that shows that there's a lot of Final Countdown fans who had no interest in seeing any of the other good sci-fi movies we talked about. They came in for that one episode and then left.
Thanks all you grandpas.
They took their ball and went home. I say ball. What I really mean is their Navy memorabilia like booklet with their...
They put on their scrambled egg hats and went home. It's a thing.
Yes. Very good. So Old Boy's number 48. Number 47, Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, we got our first Tarantino. I suspect this won't be our last because it's not his best film.
Honest, I think when we've done all the Tarantino entries, and this might be the last one as well. I mean, I'm not going to say if there is or isn't anymore, but I think because I said to Tara, if you want to submit a list to be included in the points, you're more than welcome. And
yeah, but that was homework.
But she didn't do it, and I think she's going to maybe regret it.
Oh, so The Hateful Eight didn't make it?
I'm not spoiling a thing.
But The Hateful Eight is the best movie of all time. That's not 2001.
It's not 2001 Space Odyssey. Yeah. Reservoir Dogs. It's funny. It's violent. It's a movie. It's a bottle movie set in a warehouse. I actually just found out this week that it was loosely inspired by a Mario Bava movie called, I think it's Rabid Dogs. I want to say the name of it, and it's set mostly in a car, but it's like in the aftermath of like a robbery gone wrong. And I'm like, oh, I want to see this now. If this is what inspired Tarantino, I want to check it out and discover it.
I love the cast of this film, especially. I mean, Tarantino knows how to pick them, but the fact that he says Michael Madsen needs to be in more than B movies, and I am going to cast him in an awesome role where he cuts off a man's ear and dances. And
stuck in the middle with you.
I wish more directors would be like, you know what? These are actors too.
Joe, I think
let's not just like spend all the money for Leo and Brad Pitt, even though Tarantino does that too in his latest film. Let's get Michael Madsen.
Joe, I think is crazy about Tarantino's career is that he basically went from being a video store like employee to being a movie director. And this
Same with Kevin Smith, although very different types of filmography.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin Smith made a movie set in the video store, basically. But like Tarantino went immediately to that. He made a great movie, and there's some names. I mean, Harvey Keitel's a pretty big name, which is insane. But I always
Harvey Keitel's been in like 400 films,
yeah.
so yeah, he's a big name, but he's also done a lot of junk.
He's willing to do anything basically, yeah. But what gets me though is that his second film, Pulp Fiction, is full of stars of the era, where he immediately had access to the biggest stars on the planet, and I don't know how that happened.
And he gave people a career boost though. Like, John Travolta was on the downhill, and he's like, I'm going to make him cool again, and then he did that, and then he got Get Shorty afterward, and I don't think Samuel Jackson was a household name until Pulp Fiction either.
No, you're right.
Uma Thurman maybe.
No, Uma Thurman was though. John Travolta at least was big in time. Bruce Willis was huge.
That's true. Bruce Willis was.
I
wouldn't say peak, but like just descending from the peak.
Actually, I was going to argue he's definitely. I mean, Die Hard and the stuff that came after that was presumably his peak.
I guess it's true. It's probably around the same time as 12 Monkeys also.
12 Monkeys was a year after Die Hard. You've not seen our 12 Monkeys review yet, but we recorded that already for the Ace, so look forward to that.
Yeah.
But Reservoir Dogs is great stuff. Number 46 is a movie I don't think you've seen. Diabolique.
I've not seen it.
And I've
seen Danger Diabolique because it was the final Mystery Science Theater film, but I've not seen Diabolique.
Which I believe is actually meant to be a good movie. So the fact that Mystery Science Theater did it is kind of funny. Because it's got a...
I don't think it's the same film.
Isn't that the same movie? Okay.
No.
Because I think it's one of Mario...
Is it about a man who wears leather?
It's funny that Mario Bava came up already, because it's a Mario Bava movie I'm thinking of that has a lot of good buzz. Like, I've never seen it.
Why are our viewers picking Diabolique to be...
Because it is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece of a film.
I've really underestimated them. We'll see when we get to the top 10.
This was in my top 5 of my top 100. So, like...
Oh, they're just trying to butter up to you.
Maybe they are, but I, like...
It's working.
Yeah. Diabolique is a goddamn masterpiece. If you haven't seen it, it is a phenomenally suspenseful thriller with deceit and murder plots and all sorts, and the ending is one of the best. It is absolutely wonderful. It's a French film from 1955. I cannot recommend it enough. Even Matt, who typically Matt's the type of person who I need to read the movie. Like, he loved it. So
hey, it's on the Criterion app. So if you have the Criterion app, or if you want to get the Criterion app, it's on there.
Yeah, it's the Criterion app. Yeah, it's the Criterion app's very good.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah. It's worth the $15 a month. I just really wish I used it more.
I actually have the Criterion Blu-ray of Diabolique, but it's good that it's there for everyone. A nice, reasonable price. But yes, it's classic. Make sure you watch it.
I'm happy to support Criterion, even if I don't watch the movies on the app.
What you're saying is there's been another movie podcast called the Criterion Critique. Oh, that's such a good title. Criterion Critique.
Hold on to that.
Yeah, I need to trademark that immediately. So next up, number 45 is Stand By Me, Stephen King adaptation.
Oh, nice. Interesting.
That's
O'Connell and Will Wheaton.
Yeah. Do you know what's funny? This is maybe the first one here that I don't love. Like, it's a bit overrated for me.
I watched it when I was a kid a few times because I think it's one that we had on VHS, but I don't know if I love it either.
Like, I don't hate it. It's not a bad movie, but like, I saw it for the first time maybe like 5-10 years ago, something in that range, and I thought it was fine. But I didn't. I mean, maybe you have to grow up watching it. But then again, you said you watched it as a kid, so maybe it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but it's also very much, not that this matters a whole lot, but it is kind of like a boys' film.
Sure.
And so I usually when I watched it is because I was watching it with my brother, and there are like movies that are male centered that I love, but I don't think this is one of them. I think this is very much like yeah. You just said, oh, it's kind of a boys' movie, and I'm like, the night we like first met, we sat and bonded over Aliens for like an hour, like. Hey, that's got a female lead.
Sure. Okay, that's fair.
I mean, The Predator would probably be more accurate.
Yeah, we talked about Predator a lot as well.
Yeah, Predator is a boys' movie. That's amazing. It's a boys' club film, but it's it's for it's so accessible, like it's for everybody. But I think this is very much about the experience of young men and friendship and wanting to see a dead body.
Yeah, which I don't really
Going
get.
on an adventure for something that they know is wrong.
I don't really get that last part, to be honest. I can't say I ever wanted to see a dead body as a kid.
Yeah, I
Never
didn't
my
see one
thing.
until I was in college because I worked in the science department while I went to school, so I had to deal with like cadavers and stuff, and
Oh,
didn't care for it.
I've never
The
seen a dead.
biology is not for me.
Yeah, I've never seen a dead body as of yet. It's not happened. So
Yeah,
I'll.
I had to
I'll
carry
um,
one. I had to
really?
carry three. Yeah, it's not for me.
Whoa. Um. So anyway, yeah, and also Tara's opinion on Predator. There, I just want to make a point. There was a distinct moment in that night, where she exclaimed how much she loved Predator, and if you flash your memories back to the 121 review of Predator, Connor was like oh, it's okay, it's not really my thing or whatever. That was
He's so wrong.
that was the moment where I got the idea for the ace, and where I knew Connor was not getting any other sci-fi movie ever again because Tara existed now.
Because I get it.
Because you
I
get
understand.
it. Get it. So yeah, Stand By Me is number 45. Number 44.
Suck it, Connor.
That's another point in the Tara Employee of the Month column. Number 44 is Return of the Jedi.
Ooh, very cool. It's not my favorite of the Star Wars films, but I certainly don't think it's bad. I actually really love this film. The thing that always stuck with me from Return of the Jedi is the opening scene in Jabba's palace when you finally get to see Luke and he has all this confidence. He's wearing all black. He's got his new lightsaber, and and of course the ending, which is the major arc of his hero's journey and all of that, and becoming not like his father, but yeah, trying to decide if he's going to go full light or full dark. And it's still emotional. It's still well done. It's a great close to the trilogy. I think the whole trilogy can be seen as one, to be honest. And maybe if you want to count this as like the way Return of the King was counted at the Oscars for the trilogy, and it wasn't rewarded for it, then yeah, it could be on the top 50. But
wait, hon,
I don't know. It seems a bit high to me.
Do you think that the other two aren't going to be appearing above this?
Oh, I know they are. I just hope that A New Hope, or Star Wars, as we're supposed to call it, is higher than Empire Strikes Back, but probably isn't.
Hey, Tara gets more points because I also prefer Star Wars to Empire Strikes Back.
Oh yeah, Star Wars is my favorite of all of them.
Yeah, that's my favorite Star Wars movie too.
Although I also really love The Last Jedi.
That is not. I mean, don't get me wrong. Last Jedi is better than the prequels, and it's better than Rogue One. It's better than all those.
Not the last is Rogue One, but yeah. That Darth Vader scene's so good.
Oh,
all right, let's keep this thing rolling.
Yeah.
I'm in charge here.
Yeah, Return of the Jedi, number 44. My thoughts, just briefly, if I can say my piece on it before we move on. Okay. Yeah. I like the opening. I like the ending. I think the fight with Vader at the end is really good. I do think the middle suffers when they're just running around in the forest and we have the whole subplot with Ewoks. Like, I think that part really drags it down compared to the other two. I think that's what, for me, that's what makes it easily the weakest of the three. You know, not bad. Like, I still
it's definitely the weakest of the three. But I don't hate Ewoks. I don't have Ewok hate. I think they're cute. I like them. I like the whole world. It does seem like a little bit of a cop out to just have a second Death Star, but that's all right. Like, the most important part is Luke and his story, and we get a really nice conclusion to that in this film. So I do really like Return of the Jedi. I don't think it's on my top 50 though.
Yeah, I would also agree it's too high. I don't think it should be on a top 50 list, but hey, I mean, people are going to argue. At number 43, speaking of threes, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
I love this film. I'm actually glad this one's on here.
I like it. I mean, I wouldn't put it in a top 50, admittedly, but I do like it a lot. It's definitely the second best one in the franchise.
It's the one where, I mean, Raiders of the Lost Ark is funny, but the chemistry between the father and son, Indy and his dad, is so good, and the comedy really works in the third one. So I think that's and it kind of it really moves pretty far away from the last film, which was a bit
dark,
or a bit like a lot campier and darker, like you said. But this one kind of goes back to, let's just go back to fighting Nazis and what works for Indiana Jones, and it really does work. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. I've not seen it in a long time. I feel like whenever I get in the mood, I just put Raiders on. I never like find myself putting the sequels on as much. So, I'm sure I'll remedy that at some point. But Last Crusade.
I think Last Crusade is it's great. Yeah, maybe it doesn't belong on the top 50, but it's a fun film, and I think I like the whole film. Like, there's not a dull moment.
Number 42, The Incredibles.
Yeah, The Incredibles is probably my least favorite Pixar film.
Oh, you are the opposite of Connor. That's kind of funny. I do like The Incredibles quite a bit. I don't put it in the same pedestal that Connor does, though. Like, I like it a lot.
I think it's a dad's film. Because it's centered around a dad who's like got a second chance of living the glory days, and it's a really great family film. But dads love The Incredibles.
do you know what it is? It's a movie that Fantastic Four fans cling to after they get to the reboot that's also terrible, and it's like, oh my god, at least we have Incredibles, which is kind of a Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah, and it's Brad Bird, and he could do no wrong.
Yeah, Brad Bird. Hey, Brad Bird has made the best Superman movie, and it wasn't even called Superman. So,
what was it?
The Iron Giant.
Oh, okay. I've never seen it.
He is an alien robot from space, so
I will watch it. Yeah,
that is ace-worthy. That is ace-worthy. We can do that in Ace. Not that we do a lot of animated stuff, but we can make an exception.
I love Tomorrowland, and
Brad
Bird did Tomorrowland, so
I also really like Tomorrowland. That movie got a bad rap. I actually really liked it.
I know. It does not deserve it. It's so good.
Optimism in that movie was delightful. I really liked the actress, who I can't remember the name, but she was great in it. Obviously Clooney was fun. She's like I hate to call her this, but she's kind of like a dollar store version of Jennifer Lawrence. Oh,
but she was great.
She was great. Yeah, I really liked Tomorrowland, and I love my favorite Mission Impossible is easily the Brad Bird one. Like, some of the other ones are really enjoyable, but the best one is the Brad Bird one. Ghost Protocol, when he's dangling off that building, the team dynamics, great. So,
yeah.
So I'm taking this as the Brad Bird gets a slot entry.
I said yeah, but I don't think that Ghost Protocol is my favorite. But yes,
you agree with
all those films.
You agree with
the second.
Yes, the second one's terrible. It's garbage. But you agree you agree with everything I said though about it, even if it's not your favorite.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Which one is your favorite?
I really have a strong affinity for the first one.
Okay.
I really do. And I also really like the fifth one a lot. And Fallout was really great too.
I like the sixth one.
4, 5, and 6 are like on equal par, but I just have a lot of attachment to the first one.
I think 5 is a bit weaker than 4 and 6. I feel like 5 is. I mean, it's not bad, but it feels the plot is oddly the exact same plot as the first movie, and it was really taking me out of it as I was watching it. And it bugged me when I was watching it that they lost like Paula Patton from the last one, because I really liked her character. She was a good.
Yeah, I like her too. She's kind of disappeared from the cinema these days. I don't know why.
I don't know either, but it's I thought the stunts were still good, obviously, and I thought 6 had really good action stuff. I think the reason why 4 is my favorite is because it has the really good action, of course, maybe some of the best, but it also has my favorite team dynamic of the whole franchise. Like, I really feel the team in Mission Impossible from the show is supposed to be a team. It's not supposed to be a one-man, hero show.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think the first one has that too.
Oh, it does. The first one's good. It definitely feels kind of weird to watch compared to the later ones.
I know it's definitely dated, but I still, just love that one.
Obviously, Mission Impossible is much better, but it's kind of like a a milder version of what happened to Fast and the Furious, where you look at the new ones and it's all this big superhero action and like riding cars off buildings and like torpedoes and like even the spin-off has like a supervillain who has like meta powers, and like the first movie's like, oh, they were stealing DVD players off of a truck because DVD players were valuable when that movie was made, and that's how
Never seen it. I've
was.
only seen the 7th one.
Yeah,
because I was dragged to at the theater.
I wouldn't.
But I actually did enjoy the 7th one because it was, oddly enough, I thought when I was watching it, I wish this is what I thought the Expendables was going to be.
Sure.
And just like over the top action and everyone kind of making fun of themselves, but just, falling into their role. And, yeah, I actually really enjoyed the 7th one, but I haven't seen any of the others.
Yeah, so
because I don't care about cars.
Yeah, nor do I. So that was Incredibles. Somehow we were talking about Mission Impossible. I mean, that was because Brad Bird, but then we got to Fast and the Furious. But Incredibles at number 42, and like I was about to say like a minute ago, I'll take this as the Brad Bird slot. Like this is Brad Bird getting an award for all of his efforts, unless something else pops up higher up in the list from Brad Bird, but I don't know. Anyway,
I suspect no.
number 41, The Goonies.
Oh, interesting. It's a fun film.
I love The Goonies.
I mean, it is. It's just The Goonies gets a lot of like hate these days. It seems like I just assumed that everybody liked The Goonies until more recently with YouTube and stuff and watching movie reviews, and people were saying like, oh, it's overrated or it didn't click with them. But it's just a fun adventure with kids and pirates. Like, I don't understand how you can't have a good time with the Goonies. So I'm glad it's on here.
Yeah, who are these people? Goonies is fantastic. Goonies is a quintessential childhood movie.
Yeah, isn't it like a secret Spielberg film also?
He produced it. It's Richard Donner who directed it, though, who did Superman and all the Lethal Weapon movies. Richard Donner's great. I mean,
okay, yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's no wonder it's a good time.
Yeah, and that's why there's a big Superman reference towards the end, because Richard Donner directed Superman.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, he's having fun with it. The villains are great. Joey Pants is one of the villains I love, and the kid, obviously, Josh Brolin.
The woman from Throw Mama from the Train.
Josh Brolin, of course, grew up to be Josh Brolin, so that's great. Frodo is in there at a younger age. Not Frodo, the other one.
No, Samwise.
Sam, there you go. You know Lord of the Rings. You can correct me on this.
Yes, I hope they are on these lists.
And it's a fun adventure. The whole point of that movie is to take that kind of feeling as a kid and like you want to make an adventure to spend the afternoon on a rainy Sunday, and that's what that movie is.
Yeah.
It just literally does it and has them go on this adventure on a rainy Sunday. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh goodness, I applaud.
Good job.
Number 40, completely different film, A Clockwork Orange.
Not my favorite Kubrick film, but it has a lot to say, and I'm glad it exists, and probably the best Roddy McDowall performance, and yeah,
the best.
Good film.
You mean Malcolm McDowell?
Malcolm McDowell, yeah, sorry.
Joe, I was about to make a joke, and I was like, wait, she said the wrong name. Malcolm McDowell. My joke still applies, because I was thinking of who's in it, not like what you said. But you're saying Rob Zombie's Halloween isn't Malcolm McDowell's best performance? Are you a fool?
No. And I do like, he's a great Star Trek villain. But
as it was Generations.
I mean, it's a special film. It has a lot to say, and it's Kubrick. So, what am I going to say? No, it doesn't belong here. Of course, it does.
Oh, it's a phenomenal movie. How it's shot, how it makes you feel. It makes you uncomfortable. Kubrick himself, got it banned in the UK like for years. Color Chords is a very unique film, and it's very surreal, and obviously the satire's in there.
And it's Kubrick, so you're getting the atmosphere. You're getting just a master of the craft.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So no, that's good. Number 39, The Terminator.
Way too low.
Yeah, this was in my top 10. This is a bit low for my taste.
Yeah, way too low.
Yeah, you could hear us talk about the Terminator extensively. We talked about the Terminator for like over 90 minutes on the
Well, it
Ace.
was mostly you, but it was just like you reaffirming why this is one of the best movies of all time.
Yeah, I felt bad after that. I kind of hogged the mic a little bit, so
I just let you go, man. Like you had done all the research. You clearly have had this conversation many times before, so.
yeah, Terminator's it's everything. It's the quintessential cyberpunk horror movie. Nothing else even comes close. It is,
It's perfect. It's got Michael Biehn in his prime, and James Cameron. Like, if anyone else made this film, I know we brought this up in the review, but if anyone else had made a movie about a machine that comes from the future to back in time to kill a waitress because she's going to give birth to somebody who would lead the resistance in the future against the machines. Any other film would have made it a B movie and would have made it terrible. It would have been cheesy, but for some reason James Cameron can make anything work and make anything into a masterpiece when he touches it.
I've said this. I've said this before.
Even the future stuff, which should be corny as hell, is awesome.
That's great. I've said this before, but I feel like half my favorite movies are movies that should be B movies, but they're directed by people who took them seriously and made good movies. And even the studio thought this was a silly B movie. They put it out thinking they'd get like one weekend of like decent money and that'd be it, it'd be dead. And it started, ballooning and people started to go see it. The word of mouth spread. I remember there's a feature on the extras where Arnold talks about how they only marketed it towards men because they thought no one else would want to see it. And then after it came out, they realized, hey, wait a minute, there's actually a pretty strong female character in this and a good love story.
The lead is a female. Well, I mean, the lead might be the Terminator, but like...
No, he's the title character, but he's not the lead. The lead is Sarah Connor.
The lead is Sarah Connor. It's her story. It's her becoming brave and being able to become the woman who can raise the future of the resistance. It's her son. And it's as a woman, like, I watch it and it's just so inspiring, especially her transformation to the second film. And you believe it's the same character, even though it's the same actress, obviously, who's playing both of them, but you believe this transformation from the first one because of what she goes through and her inspiration from Kyle Reese. And it's an incredible film for women to watch.
And hey, actually, even just from a male point of view, before I was going to crack a joke there about Genesis, but it's fine. But even from a male point of view, like
Genesis review.
Yeah, Genesis review coming soon. And that's Terminator Genesis, not the band Genesis. We're not doing Phil Collins' greatest hits.
He's all right. Kind of overrated too.
My father was a big fan of Genesis and Phil Collins, so I tended to hear a lot of it when I was younger. Anyway, but yeah, now from a male perspective, though, stuff like the Terminator, like that meant a lot to me growing up, and it like this is going to sound really cheesy or something, I don't know, but like my mother had to be very strong, right? My father had MS when he was alive, and my mother was a full-time nurse for him. She was paid a wage to look after her husband, because he needed that much care. He needed to be taken places, he needed to be put to bed, he needed, everything. Like, it was a full-time gig. And, when he died, my mother went back to a job. She hadn't worked an actual job in like 20 years because she'd been doing that for a long time. It was a big adjustment period. But the reason why I'm saying this is that, and not just because my mother's name is Sarah, which is just a coincidence, is that the idea of a strong woman character has never been something that's felt weird to me. Ever since I was a kid, it always made sense to me that a woman could be in charge, could be the lead role and be the important person, because to me that's what it was growing up. My mother was the one who was steering the ship and was strong and did everything. So for a movie like this, it just, for me, so when I got older and like the conversation around like, oh, we can't have female superhero movies because it doesn't work, and I'm like, why doesn't it work? Like, what are you talking about? Like, the Terminator, Aliens, the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, what are you talking about?
You got it.
But, like, I don't know, it's a point.
I mean, you're absolutely right. It's not sappy at all. It's a great story, and I mean, it's wonderful that you can that you watch films like this and you already have a respect for females. But like this movie surprisingly is very respectful for females, which is not something that we really got a lot of beforehand. I mean,
Yeah,
you get
you're
glimpses
right.
of it every now and then. Like Princess Leia was a pretty great female character, but like strong women, and it's a secret love story in the film also. Like, it's about it's about strong women, a woman who is fully capable but hasn't realized it until someone, helps her with it. And it's Sarah Connor is a huge influence
She
on
is.
a
She,
lot of female characters that we get later on.
Yeah, no, I mean, hell, you said there that we didn't have a lot of great examples of strong, female characters in movies like this before. We didn't really have it after either. You had her and Ripley, but for a long time
Yeah, I
that
mean, it
was
took a
it.
little while, and they would trickle in every now and then, and when I got them, I held on to them. But now we have movies like Captain Marvel, and don't tell me Captain Marvel isn't influenced by Sarah Connor. Like everything is influenced by Sarah Connor. She is the the milestone of female characters in cinema. Also Princess Leia. Also Princess Leia.
Also, Princess
So
Leia. No, Princess Leia is good. I think Princess Leia is kind of a transitionary one to me because they still kind of like play into the tropes of what a female character was at the time. Like she's still technically a damsel in distress in that first movie, and they have fun with it. Don't get me
she
wrong.
is so Carrie Fisher.
Oh, she is.
Like
Don't get me
she
wrong.
so much of her personality comes through
It
in
like
her role as Princess Leia.
she's strong, she's tough, she fights back, she's really funny with her attitude. Like, don't get me wrong, they do everything with it to make it not feel like it's just a damsel. But technically, in a plot perspective, she is. And I think what's interesting to me about the Terminator is, yeah, they come back in time to save her because she is the one that's being targeted. But the whole point of that movie, the journey of that movie, is because as much as Leia is a strong character, it's not an arc for Leia in Star Wars. Like she's that strong character as soon as we meet her. She's that tough, like person immediately.
No, you're right.
Sarah Connor, it is the story of someone learning to fight and believing they can defend themselves and believing they can survive.
She's not in that world yet.
Yeah.
She has to learn that she needs to be ready.
And
by the second film, we realize she's ready.
On a meta level, you look at that story in Terminator 1 of her becoming strong, and it's almost this letter to the rest of the movie industry saying, hey, look, this is the story of the weak damsel becoming the badass action hero, and it can be done, and therefore we should be here now. And no one listened because it wasn't happening elsewhere afterwards. But I snickered a little bit in the middle of one of your points, and it's not because what I thought you said was funny. You were making a very serious point. I snickered because I just it occurred to me how, as you were talking, that we have spent more time talking about the Terminator than any other movie, even though we already talked about it for over 90 minutes. Not
Check
that
out
long
our
ago.
Review on the Ace.
And I don't even think we repeated a lot of points.
This is sort of also our first sci-fi movie on the list, which I'm grateful to have.
Sure. So that'll take us on in number 30. Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring.
Too low. Whichever one it is too low.
It's The Fellowship of the Ring.
That's my favorite. I have this thing with firsts. Okay, I tend to get drawn to the first of a franchise, and
Sure.
if you haven't noticed already, and yeah, Fellowship of the Ring is a perfect film. 10 out of 10. Should be higher.
I think Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring would be perfect if the plot of 2 and 3 was condensed down to about 30 minutes, and it was just the last 30 minutes of Fellowship, and it was all one movie.
Oh, screw you. There is so much plot. There's no way it can fit in 30 minutes.
Look, for anyone who doesn't know me, for anyone who's surprised at this Lord of the Rings bashing, I'm not a fan. I'm not a big fantasy guy. I don't like them, and we can leave it at that. I will make no more jokes.
I love them, and I will discrepancy this with saying that I do not like fantasy. I don't. Fantasy, like when I think of wizards and magic and dragons, my eyes glaze over and I just fall asleep. I think of people playing Dungeons and Dragons in their basement, and it sounds so corny. And not that I don't love Dungeons and Dragons, I'm not bashing. I actually played quite a lot of it in college, and it was fun. But it's goofy, it's silly, and I don't take it seriously, except for Tolkien. When Tolkien writes it, it's incredible. And I think these I think Peter Jackson knew how to take the source material and make it into oh, look at you, and make it
Got my
into
D20.
a movie that flows well, that has the right pacing, that has the right character development, and he's able to pick and choose the things that matter to Frodo's story and make a coherent movie out of it that is that's great. And I'm bummed that it didn't give that Fellowship of the Ring didn't get Best Picture, but like I said before, I'm glad Return of the King won, if anything, to retcon for the other two not winning before. I love this film. I'm glad it's on here. It's too low on my list, but I'm glad it made the top 50.
I won't bash it. I'll let you take the moment because you actually care. And obviously, people care because that's why it's here. I will not say anything else.
I love these films. I love this world, and Tolkien has a beautiful way with words that makes fantasy work.
I'll say one positive thing. The music's pretty good.
Oh, that score is beautiful. I love listening to the Shire tunes. Dun 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 dun. It's so positive, and you feel like you're in a field of green where like every neighbor loves each other, not like America. So yeah, I love the music.
All right, number 37.
It's gonna take so long.
Yeah, this is clearly a two-parter. We've established this first part's only going to 26. We'll do the second half next week. So this is number 37 is I need to do it. Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Way too low.
Hello, John. Hello, John. Hello, John. I really hate that man. I'm even wearing my white shirt. I didn't even do that intentionally. That's.
Oh yeah.
I'm in my
you
Hammond.
need more linen. And a cane.
Yeah, I'm in my Hammond outfit. As soon as my hair goes white, I'm going to be nailing it. Jurassic Park's a wonderful film. Jurassic Park, I've said this before, I'm sure on shows, but this was the first movie I ever saw in movie theaters. I was 4 years old, and dinosaurs were the coolest thing at the time. So, there was a T-Rex.
Yeah.
We have a T-Rex.
Jurassic Park wasn't my first movie, but it was the first movie that I remember becoming a movie fan when watching it.
Sure.
I watched Jurassic Park, and something clicked when I saw it, where I didn't know that movies could do this. And it was the first movie I watched where I thought, I need to know who directed it, and I need to watch everything else that director made. Whenever I saw Sam Neill in something, I thought, I have to watch this because he was in Jurassic Park. I watched the behind the scenes of Jurassic Park on television so many times. Every time I see that Gallimimus scene, all I see are the Sam Neill and the two kids running with cones coming out of their eyes, because that's how they were able to determine where to put the dinosaurs from the special effect cones that they added. I love this movie.
Yeah, Jurassic Park
has a lot of editing flaws, and I couldn't give a shit about it because
well,
in my mind, it's flawless.
It's one of those things where you see it so many times that you start to really notice all the little mistakes that kind of build up, and you're like,
right.
like, where did that cliff come from? That was like flat ground a minute ago. What's going on?
There's a scene in it where Jeff Goldblum literally teleports to like another part of the park, and I don't care.
yeah, this is what it is. But no, it's a great movie. It's full of memorable lines. Obviously, I do the Hammond lines because I'm Scottish, and Tara likes me doing the Hammond lines. But I do.
I mean, you nail it.
I know. Although my favorite line in the movie might actually be "clever girl," which I'll break.
Australians. I know. Can't do it.
I know, but I like breaking that out when I've not done it on the show yet. But one day Tara's going to say something really witty, and I'm just going to go "clever girl."
You might be waiting a long time.
Oh, it'll happen one day. And of course, this wasn't the first movie you saw in theaters. It'd be so weird if you waited to the age of bleep to see a movie in the theaters.
I hope you add a beep in that.
I just bleeped it.
You black out the mouth and you go beep.
I literally just bleeped it live. That was my joke.
Sorry. This might be gin.
Are you still drinking?
Look, I pre-gamed with my mom earlier with a martini, and just gotta keep it going.
Okay, all right, jeez. So Jurassic Park's the number.
It's the weekend.
Jurassic Park's number 37. Jurassic Park's number 37. Which will take us out to number 36. Number 36 is Drive.
Why?
You shut your drunk mouth and you will listen to why this movie is fantastic, because Drive deserves to be up here. It deserves to be higher even. Drive is a phenomenal film. It is oozing style. You got Ryan Gosling there as the driver. The opening driving sequence is like one of the most suspenseful little things ever. And it's got a great character arc. It's got a great character arc, great soundtrack. The whole thing is absolutely like just mesmerizing, and you're just drawn in. Refn is a phenomenal director. This is the most mainstream thing he's done. His other stuff is very artsy, but I think this actually works for most people. And Tara's just weird. So.
I'm not a fan of Christina Hendricks.
She's all right. I mean, she's. How do I say this without just saying like I'm praising her boobs? She
She is boobalicious, but I'm not a fan of her acting.
Yeah, she was in Firefly, for the record.
Right. She was there for her body. I remember that role.
Oh, come on. She was not skimpy in that at all. What are you talking about? She wasn't. You're misremembering. You're remembering boobs where there were no boobs.
All I thought were boobs.
That's your dirty mind. I don't. That was.
I mean, yeah, whatever. She's a fine woman and a fine actress, and I'm sure a fine human being. But the movie itself is boring.
I completely disagree with this.
I don't understand the praise. I'm sure there's a lot of atmosphere. The opening scene where Ryan Gosling's just chewing on his fingernails and wears a scorpion jacket, and everyone thought it was really cool, and I don't get it.
All right.
Maybe I missed it. Okay. Maybe I'll give it another chance one day.
Remember how in Lord of the Rings I just shut up and let you praise it, and then we moved on? Remember that? Remember how nice that was?
Yeah, but this is my show, so everyone wants to know my thoughts.
Oh God! Don't worry, everyone. Drive is a wonderful film, and I've got your backs. All right, we're moving on to number 35, which is Django Unchained.
Ooh, another Tarantino film.
You know,
this is, as far as movie quality goes, this one is probably on par with Pulp Fiction, but it's not my favorite Tarantino film.
Do you know what's funny is I actually love Django Unchained. Django Unchained's like in my top 3 Tarantino movies. I'm surprised at it placed though. I'm surprised it's higher than Reservoir Dogs. I am surprised people put it this high. I'm genuinely impressed.
Me too.
And I say impressed because I actually love it. I think I had such a blast. Like I mean I love all Tarantino's.
Oh, it's great. It's a phenomenal film.
Yeah, Tarantino's movies. I mean I like them all. I don't need to rewatch Jackie Brown, but like I like them all. Right?
Yes, you do.
I love most of them.
Jackie Brown's amazing.
I love most of them. I really do. But there's something about the more kind of adventure action Tarantino movies that just really clicks with me, where he gets just, I mean, forgive the word, a bit more pulpy. It just works. Like, see the moment in Django Unchained where he's realised he's allowed to pick his own clothes, and there's a little joke where you see him in this ridiculous outfit.
That blue suit is all I can think about when I think of Django Unchained. I love that moment.
But see that moment?
He's so proud.
Where he comes out to defend someone who's being whipped, I think. I can't remember the exact scenario. But he comes out to defend someone, and it does the hero shot, where it's the low angle, and it tracks in towards him as the music, as the trumpet kicks in. And it's this like heroic moment where he's here to save the day. It's like, Tarantino just knows what he's doing. He knows how to like put in these almost cheesy moments from old movies, but make them feel like they just work in the tone of the film.
And he's so good with actors.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think Jamie Foxx is a phenomenal actor, and I think the general audience would agree. And obviously the Academy agrees too, because he has an Oscar.
Don't get me wrong. Like
he is so good in this movie, and I know it's all the direction.
Him and Christoph Waltz, and because Jamie Foxx, he can suck too. Like, did you see Amazing Spider-Man 2? Because Jamie Foxx can be bad.
I did not care to see that film. I saw the first Amazing Spider-Man and said, I'm good.
Do you know what Joe he is in that movie? He is basically like Mr. Freeze in Batman and Robin, except he doesn't have all the one-liners.
All right, everybody, chill.
But he looks like Mr. Freeze. But no, like Django, I love a Django and shit. I think it's got a really sharp wit to it. I love the relationship between Christoph Waltz, who's also fantastic in this movie, and Jamie Foxx. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a moment. I'll just say the words "Auf Wiedersehen" and like the way that's used at one point, and the way it's set up and then paid off is like this touching thing, and I love it so much. So
I'm a huge fan of westerns, and this was Tarantino's first like western film that he did. And although I love his follow up a lot more because I'm just such a fan of that film. I mean, watching him do a Western film like this was so satisfying, and the fan in me of both Tarantino and Western films was just like, this is. When I watched it, I truly thought it was the greatest movie I'd ever seen.
I used to think I didn't like westerns. I went a long time thinking it was a genre I didn't like, and then I watched the Dollars trilogy and went, oh wait, maybe I do good. Maybe I do like westerns. I just don't like the old like American westerns. I like these types of westerns.
Yeah, there was a long period of time where 2001 was number 2 on my list, and The Good, the Bad, the Ugly was number 1.
Yeah. Once Upon a Time in the West is great. I mean, I like Tarantino's westerns. I mean, I don't love like a ton of westerns, but there's definitely a good amount of them now. Where I'm like, no, I love like a good like dozen of these that are all fantastic.
Oh yeah.
In fact, because
it doesn't. I mean, the setting doesn't always matter. You know, it's about the characters, and sure. Tarantino knows how to write characters. Especially write dialogue.
I think until I was 18, the only western I technically liked was Back to the Future Part 3. Technically.
It's a great movie.
It is a good movie.
Hey, you know the fiddler in the band? Yeah. I actually know him.
Whoa.
Yeah. The one that plays the ZZ Top. He's a friend of mine.
Oh.
And he's in Back to the Future 3. How about that?
Big shot.
I know. Big Hollywood here. Hollywood Terra.
Hollywood Terra. What was one thing I was going to say here? It inspired me to go back and watch the original Django, which has nothing to do with the original Django is a lot more like a spaghetti western, and it's but it's fun. I like it. I've got it on Blu-ray. It's a good movie, so I recommend watching it.
I have not seen it, but I actually would like to.
If you want more spaghetti westerns in your life, I recommend the original Django.
So spaghetti westerns. I love that Italian dubbing.
Oh yeah. It's a charm. Number 34. Number 34, you're about to be floored. Kill Bill.
Another Tarantino film, back to back?
Back to back, baby.
So is this considered Kill Bill Part 1 or the whole thing?
The whole thing. I made it very clear when we started this that that counts as one movie because it is one movie. It is one movie. I have literally never watched it separately. I've always watched it in one sitting whenever I've watched it.
Have you seen the whole bloody affair?
No, because it's never been officially released, has it? Like as a one cut.
No, just in theaters, which I didn't get to watch because I wasn't in LA at the time. But I wish I had seen it.
I'd love to see the whole bloody affair, but I've always just watched them back to back because that's clearly how it's meant to work. Like it's a movie that the studio said, no, you can't have a 4.5 hour movie. You have to split it into. So he did, but that was a decision made late. That was not like planned to be a 2-part movie. So it's one big movie. And it's actually my favorite Tarantino movie. I freaking love Kill Bill. It is so good. It's so good.
Yeah. I've already stated my favorite is Hateful Eight, but a lot of people criticize that. You know, he is a fan who makes copies of films of the films that he's watched and loved throughout the years. Mm-hmm. And this is clearly his love of Kung Fu films coming through in a film. But I have to disagree. Like, he makes everything his own. Like, Tarantino's signature is on everything. And Kill Bill is probably the most Tarantino film that he has ever made. And it is bloody and awesome and has a bitchin' female lead, and you're right, you can watch both of them and it would feel like a 2-hour ride. It wouldn't feel like the 4 hours that it would be.
No, the movie's fun. Uma Thurman's great in it. The fight scenes are fantastic. Tarantino's actually really good at directing action, which is not something you don't really think about him doing that as much. You think about him having characters at a table talking to each other, but he's actually really good at action.
Most of his actions are just people pointing a gun at each other and then dialogue. There's not a whole lot of action in it, but actually it's quite good.
Yeah, but unless you get the Crazy Eights fight, you get the opening fight with Vivica Fox, where they're
the knife fight.
The knife fight, yeah. And where they bleep her name because we're not allowed to know that her name is Beep Bleep. Yeah, and I'm not gonna say I'm expecting Kill Bill Volume 3 with her daughter who was in Stranger Things this season, but
kind of expecting it.
She's great. Mia Hawke, I think her name is. Because it's also
she's still acting, huh? That's cool.
Yeah, she's in Stranger Things season 3. She's had a small role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and she's really good. She's really freaking good.
If Tarantino makes his 10th film, Kill Bill Volume 3, I would be very satisfied. However, I really want that Star Trek film, so
I know.
I hope he makes 11 films. Make it a baker's dozen. Why not? Let's just do 13 films.
What if we don't count Kill Bill 3 as an entry? What if it's like, no, that's still part of the same movie?
Right, yeah.
Just do that.
He's good at doing that.
That's fine.
I mean, clearly he doesn't count 4 Rooms. So, even though he directed like a quarter of that film.
True. No, Kill Bill is a magical experience that is delightful.
Agreed.
And as per usual, great soundtrack. It's so much energy. That movie is effortless to watch. Like there's movies where I see a runtime of over 2 hours and I'm like, and it'll feel over 2 hours. This movie is legitimately 4.5 hours long, and it flies in. Because it's just so smooth and slick. But hey, that's Kill Bill.
Good job, everyone.
Number 33 is The Thing.
Ooh, I love this film.
Yeah, John Carpenter's The Thing, of course, 1982. Before the era of remakes, this was like the big good remake. I mean, obviously The Fly as well, but The Thing was a big example because they didn't do it as often, I guess. But it's a wonderfully paranoid film. It's a bottle movie. It's out in the great setting out in the snow, great practical effects. You get all these.
Is it Cronenberg?
Oh, Carpenter.
No, did Cronenberg do the effects? No, it's not a Cronenberg thing.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Did Cronenberg ever do effects?
Oh, I thought that he did.
Yeah, I don't know if he did.
I thought he was kind of like a Stan Winston thing who also directed.
I don't think so, but I mean, I may just be wrong though. I may just not know about this, but as far as I know, no.
Okay, never mind.
But
I'm sure I'm wrong.
Practical effects are great. In fact, do you know how good the practical effects are? There was a scene in It Chapter 2 that was basically a scene from The Thing, and it looked like garbage. It looked straight up garbage, and it looks fantastic in The Thing, and that was made like almost 40 years ago. So you know what? Suck it. Suck it, Andy Muschietti.
Because practical is always gonna be better. If you can, that's the thing about those films in like the 80s and early 90s where the CGI just wasn't there yet unless you were Spielberg. So you would have to do the things that you could do with practical effects, you always did, and then things that you couldn't do, you would make work with the digital effects. But that's why Jurassic Park still holds up so well, and The Thing holds up so well, and even these new like Star Wars films that are coming out, like The Force Awakens looked great because they put practical effects back in it.
Yeah, but that's why the prequels don't hold up, because they were all...
And that's why the prequels don't hold up, you're right. And it's... Or like so many movies from the early 2000s and late 90s just don't... They look worse than their predecessors because they thought, we have the technology now, and they just didn't. They didn't. It looks so bad. And yeah, and because you know that it's a real... a real entity there that they've created. The actors are reacting to something real, that it resonates with you. Like you react to it as well.
Do you know what it kind of is like? It's like obviously you can have bad practical effects, and a lot of low budget movies back in the day would have bad practical effects and it would take you out of the movie, right? The difference with CG is that CG, just like practical effects, can be bad or good, and if you have the right people doing it, you spend enough time doing it, you can have great CG and it'll work and it'll hold up. The difference between them, though, is that with CG, like, they kind of treat it in this weird way where they still spend a lot of money on it and think they can do everything with it, but it'll still end up in the low end of the scale. Like, you know, it needs to...
I mean, look at Justice League. How hard is it to make a mouth?
Apparently pretty hard.
We're not there yet, apparently. So
I mean, well, how hard is it just to, like, you know, not hire Zack Snyder and make a good movie so you don't have to cover up a mustache for, like, half the film?
Yeah, but I saw Fallout and the mustache was totally worth it. So
well, see,
they're in the right to defend keeping the mustache.
I'll say this. If Justice League was actually a good movie, but it just had the mustache
they would have just given Superman a mustache. Clearly, that's the way Henry Cavill should look.
But if Justice League was actually the Justice League movie that I would have wanted as a DC fan, I would hate that Mission Impossible movie for causing that mustache problem. As it is, though, it's a mess, so I don't really care. It's whatever. Yeah, screw it.
Yeah, but the thing is, I watched Justice League, and I know why Joss Whedon decided to put that scene in it, but I don't think it was necessary. It didn't need to be there. And because it looks so bad, just cut it. Just cut it.
What do you mean that one scene?
It doesn't need to be there.
It wasn't just one scene. It was like 15 scenes.
Well, it was the opening scene that was the worst.
Okay, sure, yeah, but it was bad throughout the whole thing because there was scenes like later on that he still had it as well. Those
were not as noticeable as the first scene, but the first scene was just the worst.
I think
you couldn't not look at his mouth and be like, "Why do you have a baby mouth?"
I think that's just because it's the first time you see it, so it hits you with that. Whoa, this looks bad.
This is not human.
This is weird and disgusting. What's happening?
Although I guess Superman's an alien, but it still doesn't work. It doesn't work. Just cut it. Just cut it. It would have been so much better if you just cut it.
So the thing has great practical effects, is what we're saying.
Yes.
And good music.
Watch Bad movie, or not bad movies. Don't watch Justice League.
Don't watch Justice League. Yes. It's funny because we did a TV show last year called Homecoming from the creator of Mr. Robot, and it did this thing where it was using music from different movies, and there was like a Brian De Palma track at one point from Body Double, which was I noticed was really upbeat music, and later on in the season when like something tense was happening, the Thing music came in. It was like bum bum, bum bum, and I'm like, that's cool. The Thing. What the hell? And it was so good.
Is that the one with Julia Roberts?
Yes, she was in season 1. Yeah.
I remember the advertisements, but I didn't watch it.
Her and Steve Zahn. Not Steve Zahn, sorry, no.
Steve Zahn.
It's not Steve Zahn. It's the guy that I always confuse with Steve Zahn because they look very similar.
It's not Bad Ape?
It's not Bad Ape. It's the guy, Shia Wiggum. He's been in tons of stuff. He was in Agent Carter. He was in Kong Skull Island. He was in... a ton of stuff. You know his face, but he's like an angrier looking version of Steve Zahn.
Sure, but he's no Steve Zahn. He's not a node eater. He's not a bad ape.
Okay. So this thing's fantastic. Number 32. Hand over my heart. Serenity. You can
this movie does not deserve to be there.
You take that back.
This movie is such buttering up to you. That's all this is.
You can take my love. You can take my land.
This is so stupid.
You can take me where I cannot stand. I don't care. I'm still free. You can't take the sky from me.
So dumb.
No, this movie's amazing. This is one of the best theater experiences I've ever had. It was an emotional journey. I laughed, I cried, I was scared. I went through every emotion in the rainbow. You do not get to make fun of me for this. That's
what the fans are doing.
They're jacking me off? The fans are jacking me off? Is that what you're saying right there?
This is just for you.
It is not. This is a fantastic movie. How dare you?
It's a fine film. It would have been a fine 2-parter episode for Serenity. Not top 50 movies of all fucking time. Oh. Of all freaking time.
You are breaking my heart right now.
Serenity.
You secure that shit. This was a touching story, and there's so much meta stuff in there about the show being cancelled and about fighting for what you believe in to get the movie made. It is a beautiful, touching thing. It has all of Joss Whedon's wit and humour, and Joss Whedon, much like Tarantino, has a very unique tone that always feels Joss Whedon, and his characters are all very witty.
True.
And it's not the same wit as Tarantino, but it's like a similar kind of thing where it's always his voice coming through the characters. You can always feel it. You can always hear it. I love it. Serenity was on my top 10, and
I don't.
It was on my top 15, maybe. It was up high. How dare you? How dare you laugh?
This film, and yeah, it's a fine film. It's a fine TV show episode. Two-parter.
How dare you laugh at this? I am hurt right now.
Oh, come on. This is so here for you.
Or maybe or maybe the fan base who likes my content maybe has some similar taste. Did you ever think of that? That maybe
oh, yeah.
they have similar taste, and maybe that's why your shitty Lord of the Rings movie was at number 38. Did you ever think of that?
Oh.
Actually,
Lord of the Rings should be so much higher than 38.
Hey.
Wait. Lord of the Rings is worse than Serenity?
Goddamn right it is. You goddamn right it is.
This is such bullshit.
The people have spoken. The people have spoken. You people are the best. You know how to do it. You know how to do it.
I should have got my people to vote.
Serenity.
It's dumb.
It's like a leaf in the wind. Watch as it soars.
What's the next movie?
The next film, number 31, is Seven.
What?
Seven.
Oh, Seven.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I like this movie.
Is it getting more difficult? Is my accent getting worse, or are you just drunk? Like, what option? Which one are we on?
Well, I try to keep the volume down pretty low so that it doesn't pick up on my microphone because I don't like wearing headphones because I have amazing hair and I need to let it, flow. And headphones would impede that. So yeah, sometimes I struggle because of the accent and the volume being low. But yeah, Seven, great movie. Great movie. A lot of pictures that will stick with you for a long time.
Mm-hmm. It's actually much better than I remembered it because we did it on Influx like last year, and I was surprised.
What's in the box?
That's in the box. But I was surprised because I'd kind of forgotten what the actual like emotional core of it was, and it's actually got a good little character story in the background of it or within it, on top of the the actual hunting the serial killer and whatnot, and the cinematography.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a reason this movie sticks around as a classic for these types of films, and it's definitely because of the character that you're really invested in. It's not just because of the mystery of the film and the murder and like the cat and mouse chase, but it's about the characters.
Yeah, absolutely. Although
I cut you off. Sorry.
No, I didn't. No, I just I do have a bit of a grudge with it though, because this movie looks great, but I will say that every other thriller trying to look like this movie for the next 10 years made every thriller look like shit.
And TV shows.
Because everyone who tried to mimic David Fincher's style fails miserably at it, and it looks really bad.
He can't. Yeah, he's got some kind of magic in his filming ability that can't be replicated.
Yeah, they basically just throw a tint on it and think, oh, that'll make it look Finchery, and it just looks bad, and I hate it.
Yeah, let's just put that yellow, dirty vomit tint over it, and then it'll be David Lynch. No, there's skill here that you're missing.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And I want you to know, I would have backed you up on your hair being great. I'd have backed you up on that, but you laughed at Serenity, so no.
Come on, hair. I just need you to grow just a little bit faster.
Number 30 is The Matrix.
Oh, another sci-fi, finally.
Sci-fi, yeah. There is no spoon. Yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, Matrix is great. We haven't reviewed it yet on the Ace, but I can't wait to do it because, I mean, this movie is life-changing and film-changing, to be frank. Like,
it was a big deal. I remember I didn't see it in theaters. I was just a little bit too young to actually see it in theaters when it came out, because I was 10 when it came out. But I saw it soon after.
Just a wee one.
Just a wee one, yes. Just a wee laddie. That's more of an Irish thing. I don't know why I said that. I thought that'll sound Scottish. It was. It sounded more Irish. So top of the morning to you. I'll do that. How about I can't do an Irish accent. I was going to say how about
Are you a leprechaun?
I was going to say how about I do the rest of the show in an Irish accent, but I couldn't even get the sentence to do it in an Irish accent. Where's my pot of gold? From Ireland. I can't.
It's terrible.
I can't
Stick with John Hammond.
Yeah, I can't do it. No, Matrix is great. I remember it coming out, and I remember it being something where someone in school said, "Hey, you have to see this," and we rented the VHS from the video store because kiddies. There was a once upon a time where you had to rent these video cassette tapes from a store, and you watch movies that way. And I remember finding the movie a little bit confusing at that age, but I still was really into it because of how it looked and how it felt and everything that was going on.
I mean, you knew it was special.
Yeah. And obviously it's one of those things where I saw it a few times at that age and liked it just for being an action movie, I guess, and for it looking and sounding cool. I think when I watched it maybe after a few years and it was like I was like 16, 17, I was like, oh, I get this now and I really like it. It's good. Like,
yeah.
What is this? So yeah.
Unfortunately, it was something that was so special and could not be recreated even by the Wachowskis.
Not even close.
But yeah, The Matrix changed cinema and action films forever, and rightly so.
Much like Seven ruining the look of thrillers, this meant we had to suffer through lots of bullet time parodies for the next 10 years.
Yeah, but I mean, it was so innovative at the time and such a cool effect, and it's so 90s, right? Like, it's such a 90s film with the trench coats and even the bullet time is such a 90s thing, but it's so the fear of the internet and of artificial intelligence, although that hasn't really gone away, especially for me. I'm always afraid of AI.
Well, yeah, but keep in mind this was 1999, so this was right before 2000, so this was the Y2K like scare and all
Y2K
that nonsense.
Paranoia and
imagine explain like there's people now who are like maybe like almost 20, like people 18-year-olds now is like, oh yeah, Y2K, like what was Y2K, what was that about? Like, well, everyone was scared that the computers might.
Big deal, all right. It was all of a sudden humanity realizing that it had a reliance on technology that could have a flaw that would cause fatalities. So
fatality.
Yeah,
get over here.
I understand the consequences of using the word fatality.
Or if you're Arnold in the new Mortal Kombat DLC, get over here.
Right? Doesn't that look awesome? It kind of makes me want to get Mortal Kombat 11 just so I can play as Arnold Schwarzenegger.
He was in a wrestling game a couple of years ago.
He was, yeah. You can play as the Terminator in I think 2K16. 16?
Okay. Because I had that one. I played it on PC. There was two versions of him. Terminator 1 Arnold had the jacket when he was coming out, and when he entered, it made the orb in the top of the ramp, and he started kneeling down. He wasn't naked, he had the clothes on already, but he was kneeling down, and when he stood up, the theme music started playing, and he walked out of the ring. The Terminator 2 Arnold comes out in a motorbike with the leather jacket on.
Awesome.
It rides around the ring. And
yeah, I only know because I was a store manager for GameStop when that came out. I don't play wrestling games. I don't know WWE, but I remember the trailer for that a lot because it would play while I was working.
He even recorded some footage for it, because the start of the T2 entrance, there was on the Titantron, a clip of him taking off his glasses and saying, "Judgment Day is here," and then he comes out.
So are we going to play Mortal Kombat or what?
We totally shouldn't we? I don't want to play other people online, but I'll play you online.
We'll play Arnold versus Arnold.
Yes. Well, yeah. Well, there's two versions of him. I think there was two versions in the trailer, at least.
I think there's the younger one and the older one, right, from Dark Fate.
I think so. Yeah, it was like a really graybeard one.
Yes.
We can swap. We can alternate.
We'll see after Dark Fate if I want to play as the older Arnold.
Because the fatality in the trailer is, at least for the older one, is that it sends the person into the future to be torn apart by Terminators. Yeah, that's freaking great. That's a good fatality.
That was a great fatality.
Do you know what? I actually think we should get 10 first, and because 10's really cheap now.
Alien vs Predator.
And
Dibs on Predator.
10 has Alien, Predator, Freddy, and Jason.
Okay, but dibs on Predator.
Again, I want a shot of all of them. Come on now, we can't. You can't just always be
play
Predator.
the rest 3, but I'm gonna play as Predator.
All right, fine. We'll record some of these fights. I'll upload them, and you can watch.
Oh, get 1080 bit back up.
You can watch two people who are terrible at fighting games try to beat each other.
Oh my god, I'm so bad. I'm so bad.
I suck at them too. I mean, I wouldn't worry about it.
I have 6 platinum trophies on my PlayStation, but you should know that 3 of them are Lego games. So
3. I'll be honest. I thought it was going to be more than. I thought you were going to say 5 of them are Lego games.
Half of them are Lego games.
Oh dear. Anyway, what were we on? Matrix. Matrix is really good. Yeah.
I'm a little drunk.
Yeah, Matrix is fantastic.
Oh, Matrix is so good.
Yeah.
Let's review that on the Ace tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
I want to watch it. It's way too low on this list, by the way.
Okay. I don't know. I think 30 is about right for me. I mean, I don't know where I had it in my list. I did have it on my list somewhere, but
I think it's top 20 at least for me.
Okay.
I mean, it not only changed sci-fi films, but it changed action movies. We get so many gung fu movies now.
I know you said you were trying to say gun fu, but you said gung fu, and that's really funny to me.
Gun fu.
Hey, that's something we need to do. You have to do your top 50 at least, or top 100 movies.
Yeah, I mean, eventually.
I could sit.
At least 60% are going to be science fiction. So
I could sit here and react to it, right? You could do your top 50 or 100, and I'll sit and be like, what?
I can tell you right now, Drive and Serenity are not on it.
You are acting like such a bitch, which, as we all know, spells bitka.
Foxy, you resemble that term, don't you?
And Tara doesn't even know where that joke's from.
I don't.
It's from that television show, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh yeah, I don't speak Joss Whedon.
It's a great joke where they spell out bitch in front of Xander, and Giles is like, well, I think
he's a good character. Too bad he's such an asshole in real life.
Oh yeah, Nicholas Brett is a drunk fool. But Giles is like, well, I think we're a little bit too old for spelling things out, and then Xander just goes, Becca?
What's the next movie?
Next movie, number 29. We're in 20s now, look at that. I know it's been a while for you, Tara, but we're in the 20s.
Fuck you.
Oh my god.
You can leave that out too.
You know what? That one's worth it. I'll leave that one out. I'll leave that one out.
Lady in my prime.
All right, number 29. Speaking of what's the word I'm looking for here? Another word for prime might be no, it's too I can't even say that. That's a dark joke. It's too disgusting. Number 29 is Silence of the Lambs. My segue was going to be great, but just the joke was too dark. So, how do you feel about Silence of the Lambs?
Really good.
That's really good.
I think it's it might be a movie that kind of suffers from just its own fame a bit.
Okay.
Like it's a movie that I've watched a lot, and I think maybe goes lower on my list just because it's something I already know and I expect. I love Anthony Hopkins, but this is not my favorite performance from him, but because I think it's a little over the top, but it suits the film. And I do think it's a great film, and it probably deserves to be on the top 50 of all time. So I would probably put it a bit lower. I
love the movie. I do have the slightly controversial opinion that Manhunter's better, but I do love Silence of the Lambs.
You know, I've never seen it.
I love it, but I'm a Michael Mann fan, so I just love the style of that movie. It's just like so me. But this movie has a lot of depth in it. It has a lot of great, scenes, a lot of great great performances. I do love a movie that kind of like, because you read that title, you go, Silence of the Lambs. What the hell's that about, like what, and you're watching, oh, this is a good movie, but what does the tale have to do with it? And I love movies where you get it, like, halfway or like, 2/3 through, you're like, oh, I get it. And you
Buffalo
realize
Bill is a really great character. I mean, he's a horrible, horrible man.
Oh, sure.
But he is a really great villain.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. No man, after watching this movie, resisted the temptation the next time he was in the shower to tuck it between his legs just to see how it would look. No.
Would you do me?
I do me.
That's the edited version.
That's not what I did. That's exactly what he says.
Doesn't he say the F word?
No, he says do. I remember this.
I thought he said the F word.
I also like the line, "It puts the lotion in the basket." He says that.
Yeah, Buffalo Bill is an incredible villain, and I enjoy good psychopath on cinema.
To get to a sort of semi-serious point again, I actually, watching it again like a year or two ago, like, it was the first time I'd watched it in a while, and I actually really noticed kind of the early kind of feminist kind of like through line in it.
Oh, totally.
Like obviously it was always like, Jodie Foster was the main character and it was her story, but like there was moments in that movie that I was looking at from like a modern context, or maybe just from an adult context, but I'm like, hey, there's actually a lot of like stuff in here that feels kind of ahead of its time in terms of like how it's dealing with this issue and dealing with this character and the way she's treated and the way that everyone around her is. It was a man's world she's in.
Oh, yeah, a female in the FBI in charge of a major case like this, totally.
Yeah, so no, Silence of the Lambs is improved with age, although I still think Manhunter's better. And I'm going to say something else controversial. This is the last good Hannibal Lecter piece of work.
Yeah, that's probably true. I did see Red Dragon in theaters, and not great.
Yeah, I never saw that movie, but I know people love the Hannibal TV show. I was meh on it, and I hated season 3.
I think people just love the actor. Is it Michael Madsen?
Mads Mikkelsen.
Mads Mikkelsen, yeah.
Michael Madsen was in Reservoir Dogs.
Excuse me, Mads Mikkelsen. I think people just love Mads Mikkelsen, and if he's in something that's remotely good, they're gonna love it because he's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It might be overrated. I watched the pilot and I never stuck with it. But I'm not very good with TV also. Like, if it's not HBO, I don't usually stick with anything.
Number 28 is 12.
28.
Yeah, 28. What?
That's it?
Yes, we're at 28. 12 Angry Men.
Oh, good job, everybody. It's a great film.
It's a fantastic movie. It is like the most bottle movie that's ever bottled.
Yeah, but it's also one of those standard films that you watch in school and you're like, oh, this is what every film is based from. It's great.
I wasn't critiquing. I was saying that as someone who loves ball movies.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a fantastic film.
Yeah, these great characters. It's a it's a story. And do you know what the great thing about this? This is a story about not just like incriminating someone just on a whim. Like, it's actually it's incredibly relevant today, in a way that is like sad, in a way that it just hurts.
You're right. It's a movie that you can relate to today because there are many times where I have been like on the side of the mob. And then somebody says, well, what about this? And then you go, oh, didn't think about that. And now all of a sudden your whole worldview changes because of one thing. It's a nice film to remind you not to be a part of a mob.
I mean, I've never been wrong, so I don't know what that feels like. But I think it's good that the film connects with you in that way.
Yes, because I'm a human, not a robot like you are.
I'm a human being. I have feelings.
I'll believe it when I see it. All I've seen is Robot Peter.
Oh dear. Anyway, 12 Angry Men's good. So good. It's
yeah, I don't know if there's much we could say about it, but yeah, it's great. Deserves to be on the list of the top 50 for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, any review of it I'd ever do, if me and Connor do it at some point, would be would be, you know, so much about the plot and how it unravels and how expertly it's written. Because you have to, I mean, you've just got a room with characters. If you've got a script, sorry, with just characters in a room talking, the script has to be perfect. It has to be so on point.
Yeah. I don't think anybody has lines or has names.
No,
nobody has names either. They're just juror number 1 through 12, right?
That'd be a really impressive movie if it was just 12 people in a room with no lines of dialogue. But yeah,
Kubrick could do it because the first like 40 minutes of 2001 doesn't have any dialogue.
That's very true. But like, if you look at the movie, like everything in it is based on it, like the action, the ups and downs, the plot reveals, everything is in the dialogue and the performances. Everything has to be delivered with that. So the script has to be great, the acting has to be great, and it has to be kept interesting through so little. Yeah. And which is why
this is definitely like, you want to be a director, watch this film first. Because so much is done in just dialogue, like you said, and it's never boring.
Which is why I love bottle movies, because even though there's a lot of bad ones, because people think they can pull it off, but when they're done well, it is nothing but a presentation of just how skilled the people behind it are, because you have to work with so little and do something compelling. So when it's pulled off, I find it really impressive, and I always enjoy that. So,
I mean, that was our discussion of the Final Countdown too. Was just like, give us a 12 Angry Men version of this conflict, because that is sometimes the most compelling part of a film is just a single argument that you can have, and it can last forever. I mean, I think that's why people even watch Mild Fuzz TV, is because they want to listen to the debate about why you should stand for something, and why something is right and something is wrong.
Why Serenity should be on a top 50 movies of all time list.
Yeah, we can come back to that another time, but like, I don't know how much I want to devote my passion towards that, but I understand why you might want to.
You were making a wonderful point. Continue.
I just don't speak Joss Whedon, okay? I don't speak British. I don't speak Whedon.
You can go back to your point. You were making a good point.
12 Angry Men is great and deserves to be on the list. I think this spot is fair. I think 27? That's fair.
28. You totally forgot your point there, though, didn't you? Because I said to go back to it, and you just sort of went to 12 Angry Men is great.
Yeah, I don't remember what I was saying.
Yeah, so. Of course, yeah. Number 27 is The Exorcist.
Ooh, we get our first horror film.
You're right. Actually, that's the first one, right? Yeah, good point. This was one that obviously is a classic. It's not one that appeared on my list. I like it a lot, but I don't put it up at the highest end of horror movies for me.
I didn't see The Exorcist until it was released in theaters for like an anniversary edition. And I want to say that was around like 99, 98, 99 when I saw it.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing it and thinking that it was an incredible performance from a child, which you don't always see. That's kind of a rare thing. And there are parts of it that are scary, but it's not something that holds up as well as I thought it would as far as the fear goes. But as far as filmmaking and atmosphere, it definitely holds up.
Oh yeah,
and I can see it being like a game changer for cinema.
Oh sure, it's a solid movie. The direction is near flawless. The performances are really good. I wonder if it just doesn't connect to me in the same way it does to some people, just because I'm atheist, and because I don't believe in.
That could be it. I mean, so am I. And when I watched it, it was also but I mean, I don't believe in ghosts or anything like that. And I just still get pretty scared by ghosts.
Oh, sure, but I think the difference is though is that people do believe, like, you know, I'm okay. People do believe in ghosts, I suppose, but that does exist. But people that believe in them, not the ghosts themselves. Just to make that clear. But like with religion, it's like, you know, it's such this big thing that everyone like believes in. You know, we've been reviewing Righteous Gemstones. It's this institutionalized thing. Like, you know,
what a great show.
What a great show.
That should be on this list.
Basically, I just want a remake of The Exorcist, but Keith is like the assistant to the priest.
Oh my God, Keith as in The Exorcist. Yeah. I want a Keith movie. I want a Keith spin-off. I
Yeah.
want everything Keith.
Yeah. Keith goes west or something. I don't know. Call it whatever you want.
Come on, HBO. It's comedy gold. Just make it.
But like, I think I want to make it clear. I think it's a great movie. I think it's like a solid 8 out of 10. But obviously, a lot of people think it's one of the best horror movies I've ever made, and they give it like a 10. And they'll give it like, you know.
I think if we saw it when it came out, it would have been a 10 out of 10 because
Possibly.
it would have been so ballsy and so different from anything that we have ever seen before.
Yeah.
But I think because we've seen so many things inspired by The Exorcist that just do it a little bit better, that yeah, it's always going to be an 8 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, beautifully put. So that'll take us on to number 26, which is actually the last movie of this video, this episode, because as you can tell by the runtime, is that this is going very long, and this will be a two-parter. Because do you know what? I knew it was foolish to think that maybe we'd
Sorry, I didn't mean to drink.
I knew it was foolish to think we'd go quick enough that we'd do all of it in one go. I knew that was foolish. Although Tara does have to drink next week now when we do the second part, so it's consistent. Otherwise, it's going to be weird.
I'm out of my booze. I'll have to buy another bottle, and I don't like doing that.
But it's going to be weird though if the first half is all jolly and you're being all goofy, and then the second half is like, "I'm Tara, everyone, welcome to the show."
You're a terrible influence, but okay.
Okay. Number 26.
I'll take one for the team.
Number 26 is Halloween.
Ooh. I love this movie. I know you do too, but like, I think Halloween is very special for a film. And I think the horror of it holds up incredibly well, even more so than The Exorcist. And the the score is unbelievable. And Michael Myers is exactly what he's supposed to be in this film, which is just an entity that you cannot escape from. And he's always there, even when you think that you are faster than him or more clever than him, he's always there. And I love that he is somehow better than you, but also something slightly supernatural. And yeah, this might be one of the best horror films of all time, if not the best. And it deserves to be on this list, and it might even be a little bit higher for me.
Do I propose right now, or do I like go find a ring first? Like what like, why do you think I would disagree with any of that? People have heard me talk about Halloween tons of times. It is the best horror movie ever made. This is far too low. You people should be ashamed of yourselves. It is perfect. It is freaking perfect. Come on. The music is like the most iconic horror movie music ever, like just ever, right? Jamie Lee Curtis is fantastic. It has a simple tale of the person who gets to survive is the person who cares about protecting people and is thinking of others, as opposed to the others who are all just drinking and having sex, which is why they get killed. It's not about those things being wrong. It's about them doing that in place of caring about anyone else. It's a beautiful film. The cinematography is bar none. The reason why 2018's Halloween completely falls apart for me is because the pacing of the kill scenes just isn't there. Halloween is beautifully paced, and I
only watched that recently too. The sequel with Jamie Lee Curtis. I think the problem I have with that sequel is that, which I'm really hoping that Terminator Dark Fate doesn't suffer from this, but I don't know. Like, I don't like this whole we are prepared for the thing that followed us before, and we are somehow like, I don't like this whole Kevin McAllister is that his name, like, approach to things now. Where
do you know what the thing is I actually do kind of like that in theory, and I think it can be done well. And but one of the reasons why I like Halloween 4 so much as a sequel is because they don't have like traps or anything like that, but the one big difference is that this time the town knows who he is, and that when they find out he's coming back, there's like there's like angry mobs with like guns like going around searching the streets because they don't want their kids to be killed. And, you know, like, it has this kind of like, it's a bit goofy, it's a bit more of a B movie, and I think it can work in a B movie context especially. But like, for me, there was just too much packed into it, and they just kind of overplayed all their hands, and it just kind of rushed through things, and the pacing was the big problem for me. I just felt like it was rushing through everything. But Halloween,
I did like the perspective of Michael Myers in the sequel, where he was doing the same kind of recreation from the first film, where you were just kind of following him, but from his perspective this time.
Yeah, I just wish it was slower. Because I love that in the trailer. I love the idea
I
behind
can
it.
agree with that too.
Yeah.
Like it does seem a bit quick, and because I like that, and it kind of establishes the atmosphere. I like that Michael Myers is something that is beyond our understanding, and I like when crazy is something that is mysterious and not something that we have to figure out and fix.
Yeah, which is why I hate the Rob Zombie remake, because it gives you every reason why he is the way he is. Well, what's so great about
that, but I don't care to see it. So
what's so freaking great about Michael Myers, or to put it correctly, The Shape, because he's not credited as Michael Myers. Michael Myers is just when the mask gets taken off. The Shape, because he's just.
I remember seeing that. I think that was in the remake too,
Yeah,
or not the remake, the sequel that came out recently.
Yeah, because the whole idea in the script it described him, he's no longer a man, he is just the shape of a man, and that's why he's called The Shape. And like, what makes him so great, and I said this in the Terminator review, that like there's a lot of similarities between the Terminator and Michael Myers in a lot of ways.
Oh,
like,
totally.
There's definitely some similar
vibes.
The
thing with Terminator is that he is just an unstoppable force.
Yeah.
And although he does eventually get stopped. Spoilers.
Yeah. Yes, he is technically.
That's the threat of the Terminator, right?
Yeah.
Is that he is a machine with one program, and that is to kill Sarah Connor, and he will stop at nothing to do that. And the same with Michael Myers in the way, like he has a focus, and no matter what you think that you are smarter than him, you can outrun him, he will always catch up. He will always be there because he's relentless.
Was that the boogeyman? As a matter of fact, it was. Halloween's a perfect movie. It just is. It's perfect.
It is. I think it is the quintessential horror film. It is the horror film that every movie director or aspiring director should watch and be like, oh, this is how it's done. Like this is how you make a movie and a villain that is truly terrifying, because it is beyond our understanding.
Yeah, and know when to be quiet, know when not to use stings, because sometimes you just let things happen in the background, and that's the scariest thing of all. And the music's fantastic, like I said. In fact, that's the one good thing about the newer one, is the music by John Carpenter is, again, fantastic.
Did he create a new soundtrack for it?
Yeah, he did the score. He did the score for the new one with his son.
Awesome.
And it's great. Like, see if you listen to the end credits one, it's called Halloween Triumphant, the last track in the soundtrack. It's like the Halloween theme, but there's like an electric guitar going over it. But it's John Carpenter who did it.
So it's metal.
It sounds freaking great. Like, it's like, oh man, like he went nuts on this. So that's easily the best part of the new movie is the music. But Halloween is a 10. I had it at like number 3 or 4 in my top 100, I think.
I think it's pretty up there for me as well. I mean, it's a movie that I've watched since I was a kid, every Halloween. My mother, who's a big fan of horror films, like this is her favorite film, and it's important because it gets it right. It gets it right the first time, and I think this is the movie that sets the bar for horror.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, when I look at the horror genre and I look at, okay, obviously there's horror before Halloween. There's Psycho, and there's the Bill's Texas Chainsaw, and there's obviously the classic monsters and the Hammer stuff, and your vampires and Draculas. And I just did reviews with Tim for Psycho, the Psycho movies. And one of the big things about Psycho, the original, is that took horror out of the Gothic castles, out of Transylvania, away from vampires and stuff like that.
Yeah, it also did away with tropes, which was kind of nice.
It put it in a real world, present day setting. A motel in a city, out on the outskirts of a city rather. Like, it did modern settings and said, hey, you can be got at home. You can be got in the current world. It's not just in some freaky castle in the middle of nowhere that you've never heard of. And
right.
That was kind of the stepping stones, and obviously you had Texas Chainsaw, which kind of did the same thing, and so on and so on. Halloween, I think, is the one that kind of took it and perfected it for me, and like nothing has ever quite touched it since. Even though, of course, there's been fantastic horror movies since. Like, obviously, there's been tons.
Oh
of them.
Yeah, definitely.
In fact,
but you can't help but feel the inspiration when you watch Like even the great horror films, like
yeah.
It Follows, kind of like that too. Like it's very much the Michael Myers effect of an unstoppable force that will always catch up to you.
Even the way it's shot felt like it was a Carpenter movie, just not by Carpenter. And I don't think it's surprising that that's my favorite horror movie of the century so far. Like that's my favorite.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's one that stuck with me as well, especially because I used to live in an area when I watched it. Like I lived in a wooded area, so I would just kind of like look out in the woods, like what if like a human just emerged and was following me all of a sudden. It's terrifying.
No, everything about it's wonderful. I think there's a technique to suspense, which modern movies want to do loud bangs and lots of quick cuts and like.
Don't want that.
The thing I hate the most is a CGI face that opens its mouth really wide. I despise that trope with every fiber of my being, and yeah. So Halloween just does it right. Everything, all of it.
Agreed.
All of it. So
and it's got William Shatner in it, technically.
Technically the shape is a Star Trek William Shatner mask that's been spray painted white and stretched out a bit.
So A+.
And see when you know that, you can kind of see it. See when you look at that mask in the first movie, because they didn't use the same mask in the ones after that. They always tried to recreate it, and it always looked a little bit off. But if you watch that first movie, you can kind of see William Shatner if you're looking really close for it.
A little bit. It's not a bad mask.
This movie is really about the interpretation of what Shatner did, like after Star Trek when he went nuts and crazy.
Whoa.
Too much coke and booze and went out on a killing spree.
Whoa. Let's not sully the name of the great William Shatner. Okay, he made Star Trek: The Final Frontier. Let's not forget the greatest Star Trek film of all time.
The sad part is I know that's not the booze talking, which is really a shame. It's really a shame.
I love it so much. What does God need with a starship?
He also released a Christmas album last year, so everyone can go track that down.
Oh my god! Yes.
I want to say it was a very Shatner Christmas or something like that, or a Shatmas. I don't know. It was something stupid.
I think the first one is correct, but I will double check.
Yes. So there you go. That is the end of part 1 of the top 50 movies as voted for by you. It was a wild ride. I did not expect it to be what it was, but that's okay. We're here to have fun. Hopefully you've been enjoying the results. I will remind you though that you have until October 20th to submit another list similar to this one, but only for horror movies, because me and Tim are going to do a similar results thing at the end of the month. So October 20th is the deadline. Send your top 50 or top 25 horror movies of all time to mftvquestions@gmail.com, and you can do that whenever, but before October 20th is the deadline. So you'll be a similar results show for that. And I feel like I don't have to explain it as much, because now you've seen this, you understand the concept of it better. But
do it, and please place Halloween a little bit higher.
Yes, Halloween should be high. Halloween should be very high up on that list, or you'll forever be mocked,
scolded,
and shamed, and laughed at by me and Tim and Tara and everyone at MailFist TV.
I will be an honorary Fuzzy for that show, but that'll be you and Tim. So yeah.
Well, I wasn't implying you'd be there. I was just saying that you'd also scold and mock and laugh at them.
Yes. I'll be there in spirit.
Yes.
Which will be appropriate for Halloween.
Yes, and also you're close to death, so I mean, it could be true.
Screw you. All right. I am in my prime.
You laughed at Serenity, so you get old age jokes.
I am a very young lady with only a few white hairs that I cover up very well.
I hope you've had fun, guys, watching or listening to this absolute roller coaster of movies, discussions and lists. We will see you for part 2 hopefully next week. I'll try and make it exactly a week after this. We'll record this next weekend and have it out at the same time during the week that we get this out. So of course you can let us know what you think of the list so far. Feel free to reveal your 50 through 26s on, actually don't, just leave it till the end of it. Wait till part 2 and you can reveal your list.
Well, you can comment in the section below if you're watching on YouTube, or you can put in your own list for Mild Fuzz TV questions. What is it? MFTV questions?
@gmail.com.
@gmail.com. Send it. It's not too late. Do it. We want to know how you feel. So please let us know.
Like and subscribe, rate us on your podcast app of choice. If you want to support us financially, and I'm terrified to ask this now, but Tara, why don't you tell them about patreon.com?
Oh yeah, it's really great. It's patreon.com/MildFuzzTV. It will, every little bit helps. $1 will get you bonuses. You can get bonus episodes of the Ace, but really you are helping towards a great cause, which is helping to keep the lights on for Peter. So please donate. Anything you could do is so grateful, and thank you.
Okay. I was right to be afraid. So of course, check out other shows we have. If you've enjoyed me and Tara, although she's not usually as drunk as this, you can, of course, check out our sci-fi movie podcast, The Atomic Cinema Experiment, where we talk about sci-fi movies every week. We have a fun time on that show. We've been working through the Terminator franchise. By the time this goes up, the first 4 will been up, and the 5th one, Terminator Genesis, will be coming soon. All in time for the new one.
You're putting this up soon. Damn.
This goes up this week. Yeah, this is going up sharpish.
I cannot wait for you guys to watch with Genesis. I hope you love the review as much as we loved reviewing it, because it is a blast. So watch the Genesis review, because Peter has so much passion.
Yes, I concur with that. So check out that. Check out Screams After Midnight. It's the Octoberthon right now. Me and Tim are putting out episodes every single day talking about horror movies. So you can get that on the Screams After Midnight audio feed or on YouTube, MildFuzz TV, and enjoy all those shenanigans. In fact, our Psycho review went up today at night of recording. So and Psycho 2 is coming this Sunday if you're looking forward to the Psycho 2 review. But there's a bunch of stuff all week.
I've never seen that, but I feel like I should.
It's surprisingly good. Psycho 2 is a good movie.
Oh, well then maybe I will.
It's obviously it's not the 10 out of 10 like masterpieces of cinema that Psycho is, but it's a really solid movie for what you think of Psycho 2 maybe being.
It is not something I expected you to say is worth watching, so yeah, maybe I'll watch it.
I recommend Psycho 2. Psycho 3 gets a little bit more kind of like in the weird territory.
Whoa. Don't spoil your review.
Okay.
Don't. Uh-oh. I'm super drunk. It's a good thing that we're stopping right now.
Yeah, we're ending right now, yeah.
Tune into part 2 where I will be sober.
I promise you won't be.
No promises, but I might be.
I'm going to talk her into trying at least being a little bit buzzed.
Mild Buzz Reviews.
Mild Buzz TV, yes. Thank you very much for joining us for this shambles of a results show for this top 50 movies. Like I say, we'll do 25.
You're great in asking me to do this now.
We'll do 25 to number 1 next part, but I will tell you what 100 to 51 is as well in the results. We'll do a rapid fire thing before number 1 in part 2, so you can look forward to that. But
I know number 1 is Dark Knight. I just know it.
You'll find out next time what number 1 is. Maybe you'll be surprised. Maybe it'll be something you don't see coming. So that has been part 1 of the top 50 movies of all time, as voted for by you guys, the community, the fan base of MildFuzz TV, and we'll see you next time for part 2. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. We love you loads. Keep watching movies, and if you can get it, it's always nice to have diplomatic immunity.